Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on Moving Beyond Survival, Revolutionizing Tribal and Nonprofit Financial Strategy. My name is Pamela Fagan, and I am the president and owner of Audit Business Services Incorporated. At ABS Inc., we specialize in business and finance consulting and advisory services for Indian country and nonprofit organizations. This webinar is especially important because today we will be looking at blending your mission and innovation to tackle today's tribal and nonprofit financial challenges. Tribal and nonprofit financial professionals are under growing pressure to achieve greater impact with fewer resources. They are facing higher donor expectations, economic instability, and complicated reporting standards. They must find new ways to succeed. The question is, how can you transition from simply managing finances to becoming a strategic leader? With this webinar, you will be able to look at the areas that we're going to be discussing, where we talk about the survival treadmill, refining your financial approach. Learn to connect your nonprofit's financial planning directly with its mission to achieve greater results. We're also going to look at modernizing financial infrastructure, using data to make better choices. See how data-driven predictions and scenario analysis can be used effectively in real situations. We're also going to take a look specifically at tribal nations and nonprofit revenue revolution. Diversification strategies build strength through financial creativity. Discovering ways nonprofits are boosting efficiency and ensuring lasting stability is one of our goals. We're also going to talk about how to establish a high-performing team, foster strategic collaboration, facilitate the removal of interdepartmental barriers, and strengthening financial partnerships. We'll take a look at a couple of case studies and best practices specific to tribal organizations. Tribal entities must leverage their unique position to move beyond federal grants. By taking advantage of 8A contracting and managing our own natural resources through modern ERPs, we can secure economic sovereignty. For nonprofits, sustainability isn't about saving money. It's about investing in the right technology and people to produce measurable impact. If your financial reports aren't helping you make decisions, then they are just paperwork. So the core shift is this. We must stop treating overhead as a bad expense and start advocating for full cost funding from partners. Our first section is the survival treadmill and how to refine your financial approach. This section will include distinct characteristics of tribal and nonprofit finances, common challenges faced by tribal and nonprofit organizations, and opportunities for financial growth and resilience. Tribal and nonprofit organizations often operate within unique legal, cultural, and economic frameworks that differentiate their financial structures from typical private sector entities. Tribal finances commonly blend governmental funds with enterprise revenues, complicated by sovereignty issues and restricted fund usage. On the other hand, nonprofits rely heavily on donor funding, grants, and program revenue, with strict compliance and reporting requirements. Understanding these distinctions is critically to tailoring financial strategies that harness strengths such as tax-exempt status and community-focused priorities while mitigating constraints related to funding cycles and regulatory oversight. In working on the survival treadmill, recognizing the cycle of grant dependency, cash flow anxiety, and reactive decision-making, one of the things we have to take a look at is the internal challenges, Then the external challenges. Internal challenges is the capacity and workforce limits that make it harder to scale revenue-generating activities and sustain growth. External challenges, volatile budgets and fluctuating funding, often this is tied to restrictive grants, creating a type of instability for us. Then we've got to remember about the regulatory and compliance issues. Changing rules and reporting demands strain limited staff time, especially in the smaller organizations. And let's talk about tribal-specific complexities. Sovereign asset stewardship and intergovernmental relationships add very unique financial and operational complexity. So what does this mean? Both tribal and nonprofit organizations frequently have to contend with limited and fluctuating funding streams, compliance burdens, and capacity constraints. Budget volatility, reliance on grants with restrictive use, and difficulties in scaling revenue-generating activities, all of this hinders our financial sustainability. But there's additional challenge, and these include difficulties in accessing capital markets, workforce limitations, and adapting to all the different regulatory landscapes that are out there. And as we mentioned, for tribal organizations, there's the complexity of managing sovereign assets and intergovernmental relations, and this adds layers of financial intricacy to what we're doing. So our vision has to be to move from surviving, barely covering overhead, to thriving, which is mission impact and financial resilience. The way to do this is to use things like our tech-driven financial management. We need to adopt digital tools and automation to improve efficiency, controls, and transparency in our finance operations. But we also have to take a look at diversified income streams. We need to expand our revenue beyond the traditional grants via social finance, impact investing, and new funding products. And then we also have to take a look at our innovative partnerships that are out there. We need to collaborate across private, public, and tribal partners to unlock whatever capital, expertise, and shared capacity is available to us. But it also means that we have to build capacity. We need to invest in our staff skills and strategic planning in order to strengthen forecasting, budgeting, and adaptability. But there's also one other, and that is your niche market positioning. We need to know how to leverage our cultural authenticity and unique offerings to access any niche markets and loyal customer bases that are available to us. And finally, we definitely have to look at our data-driven impact. We need to learn how to use analytics to measure outcomes, build donor confidence, and improve long-term funding stability. So, to sum it all up, emerging opportunities include leveraging technology to streamline our financial management, diversify income sources beyond traditional grants, and forming innovative partnerships. We need to access to impact investing and social finance products, expansions into capital avenues for both sector types. And we need to emphasize capacity building. This will enhance our strategic planning and financial forecasting. And tribal enterprises' unique market positioning also allows tapping into niche markets with cultural authenticity. Nonprofits, on the other hand, can capitalize on data-driven impact measurement in order to attract more donor confidence and increase their funding stability. So why are we centering on all of this now? What's the driving force? The year 2026 represents a critical fiscal and operational perfect storm for organizations. The convergence of expiring pandemic-era stimulus, a transition to more restrictive federal funding, and the rising technical debt of legacy systems has made 2026 a non-negotiable deadline for modernization. The economic challenges of the stagflation-light reality is upon us. The 2026 economic outlook is defined by a shift from the excess funding of previous years to a period now of discipline and uncertainty. Macroeconomic volatility, real GDP growth is expected to rebound to approximately 2.2%, but inflation is projected to remain above the Fed's 2% target, hovering somewhere between 2.7 and 3%. There's fiscal deficits and debt. The federal deficit is projected to hit over $1.9 trillion by this year, with public debt reaching 101% of GDP. Then there's the cost pressures. Sweeping tariffs enacted in 2025, these are expected to have a lagged effect, possibly raising consumer prices and core inflation by as much as 1% through early 2026. Then let's talk about the labor market. We expect it to cool. Unemployment is projected to rise 4.5% as the 5-year period post-pandemic labor hoarding by large companies ends. So we have to be prepared by taking a look at also the sunsetting legacy systems, the cost of our inaction. Maintenance of legacy IT now consumes 60 to 80% of IT budgets, leaving very little room for innovation at a time when competitive pressure is peaking. Our critical vulnerabilities, a 2025 GAO report warned that major federal legacy systems still lack modernization plans. Some are even still using COBOL language and harboring known security flaws. Technical debt penalties. Enterprises lose an estimated $370 million annually to technical debt, which includes maintenance costs and lost productivity from all these outdated systems. But the biggest one, security and AI barriers. Legacy systems cannot support the zero trust security architectures or real-time data needs required for modern AI integration, creating this widening innovation gap. But there's also the changing federal funding landscapes. The great funding freeze and the expiration of major legislative vehicles have radically altered how projects are financed. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act is set to expire on September 30th, 2026. Any unobligated funds not repurposed by October 1st, 2026 will expire. There's the shift to cost shifting. New federal budget priorities, such as those in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, are shifting financial burdens for services like SNAP and Medicaid onto state and federal or local governments. Then there's the funding reductions. Major agencies like NIH and NSF have faced budget reductions of 40% or more, with billions of dollars in research funding canceled. And the repayment models. The Technology Modernization Fund is moving toward a full repayment model, making it harder for agencies to secure funding for large-scale IT transformations without a clear design. But we need to also focus on modernizing the financial infrastructure and learn how to use the data to make better choices. So we're going to look specifically at adopting technology for financial management, strategic budgeting and forecasting, and risk management and internal controls. Digital tools such as cloud-based accounting software like Sage Intacct and others that are out there, real-time dashboards, and AI-driven analytics have revolutionized budgeting and financial monitoring in nonprofits and tribal organizations. These technologies reduce errors, increase transparency, and enable proactive decision-making. Recent studies indicate that organizations adopting these tools realize up to 30% improvement in budgeting accuracy and 25% reduction in administrative overhead, allowing resources to be redirected towards mission-critical activities. With automation and technology moving away from manual Excel spreadsheets to modern cloud-based systems, such as Sage Intacct for accounting, for real-time visibility is the way that we have to start thinking. So the strategic budgeting flow model is the one that is best used. This model includes annual allocations, scenario planning, rolling forecasts, and analytics and alignment. Now, traditional budgeting sets yearly funding levels based on a prior needs and goals. But if you couple that with scenario planning, using your forecasting tools to map out what-if scenarios, like what if we lose a major grant, or what if we decide to expand, rather than just looking backward at audit results, strategic budgeting extends beyond that annual allocations to incorporate scenario planning and then rolling forecasts that reflect real-time environmental changes. By incorporating predictive analytics, this helps these organizations anticipate funding fluctuations and operational costs. For example, nonprofits engaging in multi-year budget improve fund utilization efficiency by over 15%, while tribal entities employ forecasting to align enterprise expansion with financial capacity and community needs. But let's take just a little bit closer look. Strategic budgeting is a forward-thinking financial process that aligns resource allocation directly with an organization's long-term goals, rather than simply adjusting the previous year's figures. Unlike our traditional budgeting, which is often reactive and short-term, the strategic flow is iterative and focuses on high-impact growth initiatives. We start with the strategic budget workflow. A robust strategic budgeting flow typically follows these core steps to ensure financial discipline which meets our strategic vision. Number one, define strategic priorities and objectives. What we need to do is start by clarifying long-term business goals, such as we're expecting 25% revenue growth, market expansion, or new program development. Ensure these objectives are measurable by using KPIs to serve as benchmarks. Then second, we can conduct strategic analysis and environmental scans. We need to perform SWOT analysis. SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, in order to understand internal capabilities and external market trends. We need to review past performance to identify cost drivers and areas of success or failure. But third, we also need to engage stakeholders and collaborate. We need to involve our senior leadership and department heads early in order to surface resource needs and build buy-in across the organization. Move from a purely top-down approach to one that incorporates bottom-up insights from team leads who actually understand daily operational realities maybe better than we do. Then we also need to forecast revenue and model scenarios. We need to learn to estimate future income based on market analysis and our historical data. Develop a best case, a base case, and a worst case scenario. This will help us prepare for market validity and economic shifts. We also need to select the budgeting framework. You want to choose a method that aligns with your strategy, such as, should we use a zero-based budgeting? This would justify every expense from scratch to eliminate waste. Or you could use priority-based budgeting, where you allocate funds to the highest ranked strategic initiatives first. I guess you might say most popular is the rolling forecast. This would update projections continuously, such as maybe 12 to 18 months out, instead of sticking to a static annual plan. Another thing we need to do is allocate our resources and set guardrails. We need to map specific budget line items directly to strategic priorities, such as funding R&D if innovation is the goal. But we also need to build in contingency reserves, typically somewhere between 5 and 10%, and approval workflows to maintain our discipline. Finally, implement, monitor, and review. We need to know how to deploy the budget and use real-time tracking tools to monitor actual spending against projections. Conduct regular, like monthly or quarterly, reviews to identify variances and reallocate funds as priorities or as our market conditions evolve. This slide shows you how to compare strategic versus traditional budgeting. We want to look at the features of traditional versus strategic budgeting, how they're different. Okay, the feature, our focus. In traditional budgeting, our focus is cost control and historical data. But when you're looking at strategic budgeting, you're looking at growth initiatives and long-term goals, which then, of course, impacts the time horizon. With traditional budgeting, you're looking at one fiscal year or static budgeting. But with strategic budgeting, you're looking at multi-year, 3 to 5 years, with rolling updates. But you also want to take a look at your flexibility. Typically, your traditional budgeting is rigid, very difficult to pivot away from, whereas strategic budgeting is built on an agile relationship designed for scenario planning, which then leads us to what is our success metric that we're going to use. Well, in traditional budgeting, we just stick to the plan. But in strategic budgeting, we want to get the return on our investment on strategic projects and market share. So you're basically data-driven decision-making using impact metrics will tell a financial story that secures more and better quality type funding. All of this then leads to risk and controls management. A robust risk management framework involves compliance audits, fraud prevention measures, and contingency planning. All of this is essential to safeguard assets and ensure regulatory adherence. And we have to have those internal controls designed to segregate duties and monitor cash flows, which will reduce the risk of financial mismanagement. A recent survey shows that organizations with structured risk management, they report 40% fewer compliance issues and enjoy enhanced stakeholder confidence. So, how do we accomplish strategic financial planning? Revenue diversification is the key element. We need to build strength through financial creativity. This is the tribal and nonprofit revenue revolution. It will lead to diversifying grants, donations, and earned income. It will help us build partnerships and collaborative funding and develop sustainable business ventures and enterprises. Tribal nations and nonprofits are moving toward a revenue revolution by shifting from passive grant dependency to proactive, diversified economic models that prioritize sovereignty and long-term resilience. Number one, from diversification to focus impact. Why small, mid-sized organizations should focus on their natural match with funders rather than chasing every grant, strengthening resilience through core strengths. Then we have full cost funding, shifting the narrative from program costs only to covering the true cost of operations, staffing, technology, overhead, indirect rate costs. And then sovereign wealth and enterprise revenue. That's a tribal focus. Moving beyond federal grants by building tribally owned enterprises, utilizing taxation authority, and establishing community development funds. Let's take a closer look. Diversification strategies reduce dependence on any single source of funding by balancing government grants, philanthropic donations, and income-generating activities. Successful nonprofits and tribal nations reach a ratio where earned income constitutes up to 35% of total revenue, stabilizing their cash flow. And then tribal organizations often blend gaming, natural resource management, and service enterprises as diverse revenue bases. Data shows that diversified portfolios improve long-term financial health and flexibility. Let's take a look first at nonprofits. Nonprofits are adopting blended finance and social enterprise models to navigate tightening donor budgets in 2026. They're looking at social enterprise and earned income, fee for service, charging for mission-aligned workshops, consulting, or specialized programs, branded merchandise, selling cause-related products through ethical suppliers, using sister entities, establishing a for-profit sister social enterprise to generate unrestricted funds for the parent nonprofit. Another way is advanced fundraising models. This will impact investing, attracting capital through social impact bonds and community investment funds that link social outcomes with financial returns. You can also include subscriptions and tiered memberships, moving from one-time donations to predictable, recurring revenue streams via monthly giving programs or tiered across to exclusive content. Then there's the asset-based revenue, shared services, renting out unused office space, vehicles, or even high-paid Wi-Fi infrastructure in underserved areas. IP licensing, packaging internal training materials or toolkits into paid online courses. Tribal nations are moving toward a revenue revolution by shifting from passive grant dependency to proactive, diversified economic models that prioritize sovereignty and long-term resilience. Tribal revenue diversification strategies include self-determination and funds critical social infrastructure like healthcare and housing. Federal contracting programs. This is the fastest growing tribal revenue sector with a historic analyzed growth rate of 41.6% compared to 16.8% for gaming. Tribes leverage sole source contracting and joint ventures in high-tech fields like IT services, aerospace, and defense. Then there is sector-specific tribal enterprises, expanding beyond gaming into cannabis, film production, and financial services. Entering the energy sector, utilizing tribal land and natural resources for renewable energy production to gain a competitive edge in M&A activity. Then we have taxation and licensing, implementing independent tribal taxation systems and charging fees for licenses and permits on tribal lands. Then there is the asset monetization, generating revenue through royalties from natural resources and renting out underutilized tribal property or equipment. The key trends that you want to remember for 2026. Number one, blended finance. Increasing use of mixed public, private, and philanthropic capital for large-scale projects. Number two, operational efficiency. 40% of nonprofits are prioritizing back-end improvements like AI-enabled automation over geographic expansion to save costs. And number three, strategic consolidation. An uptick in mergers and shared service agreements among smaller nonprofits to build the scale needed for complex government reporting. So what is exactly collaborative funding partnership? Collaborations with government entities, foundations, and private sector partners unlock new funding opportunities and resource sharing. Examples include joint grant applications, co-invested social impact projects, and shared service models. Cross-sector partnerships can increase funding volume by 20 to 30% while fostering innovation and community engagement. The way to look at this is like this. Government partnerships. This is a collaboration on policy-driven initiatives and access public grants. It enables scale and legitimacy for social impact projects. Your foundation allowances jointly apply for philanthropic funding and pool resources for shared goals. This will help support innovation and long-term sustainability. But don't forget about the private sector engagement. Co-investment in projects with businesses, leveraging expertise and capital. This will help drive efficiency and expand your reach. The benefits to all of this will help increase funding volume by 20 to 30%. It will help foster innovation, and it will strengthen our community engagement. The stages that we have to go through to remember this is number one, identify partners, align objectives, develop joint proposals, and then implement shared service models. With all of this, we can sustain our collaboration by maintaining transparent communication, evaluate impact, and adapt strategies for ongoing success. Tribal and nonprofit entities increasingly launch self-sustaining businesses aligned with their missions, such as cultural tourism, retail, or consulting services. These ventures provide unrestricted income streams and enhance economic self-reliance. Analysis reveals that successful enterprises achieve break-even within 2 to 3 years and contribute between 20 to 25% of organizational revenue within 5 years, which will strengthen their financial autonomy. So this step-by-step that you see here, number one, you have the ideas and alignment. Number two, feasibility and planning. Number three, startup and launch. Number four, growth and operations. Number five, break-even point. And then number six, revenue contribution. All of this is what we need to do to sustain enterprise development. So how do we take this information and use it after today? You will need to establish a high-performing team by fostering strategic collaboration internally. This will require us to cultivate a culture of wealth. We have to overcome the starvation mindset, why building reserves is not anti-mission, but essential for adaptability and stability. We also have to look at internal controls and transparency, building trust with our funders and tribal members through robust GAAP-compliant policies. And then collaborative budgeting involving program staff and financial planning to align resources with mission. So let's take a look at implementing transparent reporting systems, engaging stakeholders and building trust, measuring and communicating impact, and creating accountability and trust. First, we have to overcome the starvation mindset. Why building reserves is not anti-mission, but essential to adaptability and stability. Building a financial reserve is not a diversion from a nonprofit's mission, like some think. It is a fundamental act of mission stewardship. The starvation mindset, where organizations prioritize immediate programmatic spending over long-term stability, this often traps nonprofits in a cycle of underinvestment, high staff turnover, and fragility. So why are reserves essential for stability and adaptability? Okay, well, number one, it will ensure program continuity. Reserves act as a buffer during economic downturns or delayed funding, allowing life-sustaining services to continue without interruption. They also enable strategic adaptability. Having opportunity capital allows leadership to pivot quickly, launch pilot programs, or invest in new technology without waiting for some kind of dedicated fundraising cycle. It will also help reduce burnout and turnover. Consistent cash flow issues create high organizational stress. Reserves demonstrate that an organization is a caring employer, protecting the staff salaries and reducing turnover. Most importantly, it builds donor and funder trust. Contrary to the myth of hoarding, established reserves signal to major donors and grantors that the organization is managed by prudent, forward-thinking leaders. So we have to end the nonprofit starvation cycle, which is a systemic issue fueled by unrealistic donor expectations and nonprofit underreporting. For both tribal and nonprofit entities, we have to take a look at the myth. The myth is nonprofit means no surplus allowed. Wrong. We are allowed to surplus. The reality, a surplus is essential for future impact. Research shows that nearly 42% of nonprofits and tribal entities have less than 3 months of operating reserves, leaving them technically insolvent in a crisis. The shift: leaders must transition from a scarcity mindset to an impact mindset, viewing financial help as a tool for deeper, sustainable change. The tribal and nonprofit starvation cycle is a destructive pattern where unrealistic funder expectations for low overhead force nonprofits and tribes to underinvest in their own infrastructure. This lack of investment leads to poor organizational health, which tribal entities and nonprofits then often mask through misleading financial reporting, further reinforcing the original unrealistic expectations. There are 3 stages to the cycle. Number 1, unrealistic expectations. Donors and funders often believe that good nonprofits and tribes spend very little on management and fundraising. Many expect overhead rates below 20%, despite the service industry typically requiring 25% or more. Then there's the pressure to conform. Nonprofits feel immense pressure to meet these low overhead standards to remain competitive for grants. Then there's the nonprofit response. To appear efficient, nonprofits and tribes either underinvest in vital infrastructure like AT, staff training, competitive salaries, and financial systems, or misreport expenses, often categorizing administrative costs as program costs to lower their reported overhead ratio. What impact does this have on these organizations? Well, number 1, infrastructure decay. Starved organizations often struggle with non-functioning technology, high staff turnover, and inadequate data tracking systems. It also impacts reduced effectiveness. The fixation on low overhead can make a nonprofit or tribal entity less effective at achieving its mission because it lacks the tools and the skilled personnel needed for high-level impact. And then finally, financial instability. Research has shown that many large tribal entities and nonprofits suffer from chronic budget deficits and have less than 3 months of cash reserves due to these funding gaps. So how do we overcome this starvation mindset? We need to have practical steps for building our reserve. Number 1, establish a written reserve policy. Define the fund's purpose, target amount, usually somewhere between 3 to 9 months of expenses, and clear guidelines for usage and replenishment. We also need to gain our board buy-in, educate stakeholders that reserves enable sustainability rather than posing a constraint. Communicate transparently. We need to clearly explain to donors that reserves protect mission continuity and represent a commitment to long-term impact. And then allocating surpluses systematically. Treat reserve contributions as a strategic budget priority, utilizing unexpected year-end surpluses or dedicated fundraising campaigns to build the fund. Update your use of today's transparent reporting system would be helpful also. Transparent financial reporting using accessible formats and digital portals boost stakeholders' trust and compliance with regulatory framework. Open data initiatives and timely disclosures reduce information asymmetry, facilitating donor confidence and enhanced governance. Surveys indicate that organizations practicing transparency experience up to 15% increase and donor retention rates. Many of our current accounting software platforms have been updated to real-time reporting systems that enhance the transparency available to grantors, stakeholders, tribal council, board of directors, management staff, and other important decision makers within your organization. When we invite our community to the table, we don't just gain their input, we earn their trust and commitment for the long term. Remember, active stakeholder engagement through forums, feedback mechanisms, and participatory budgeting empowers communities and strengthens accountability. Trust building correlates with higher volume of volunteer retention, increased donations, and community advocacy. Case studies illustrate that engagement practices can raise community approval ratings by up to 25%. Utilizing data analytics to quantify social, economic, and cultural outcomes will strengthen organizational credibility and informs strategic adjustments. Regular impact reports tailored to various audiences help translate activities into meaningful results, attracting funding and support. Industry benchmarks show that organizations with robust impact communications increase grant success rates by approximately 20%. So let's take a look at some success stories of tribal entities and nonprofit strategies that have been used today. Specifically, we're going to share success stories from tribal organizations, innovative strategies from leading nonprofits, and lessons learned and future trends. Our first success story, tribal-led economic development. Examples such as the Quinault Indian Nation's diversified enterprises or the Chickasaw Nation's integrated financial management systems demonstrate best practices in leveraging sovereignty and cultural assets for economic development and growth. These cases highlight the role of strategic planning, community inclusion, and innovation in achieving sustainable growth and resilience. Nonprofits such as Teach for America and the Nature Conservancy have pioneered data-driven fundraising, impact investing, and technology-enabled operations that enhance financial stability and scalability. These organizations emphasized adaptive learning and diversified funding portfolios to buffer economic uncertainties and expand their mission reach. Across sectors, lessons include the necessity of agility, investing in human capital, and embracing technological transformation. Emerging trends point toward greater integration of ESG criteria, demanding opportunities of growth in social finance markets and increased use of artificial intelligence for predictive financial analytics. Proactively addressing these trends will ensure resilience and continued mission alignment evolving from your economic landscape. So in closing, this presentation has highlighted the unique financial challenges and opportunities faced by tribal and nonprofit organizations, emphasizing innovative planning, diverse revenue streams, and transparent practices. By adopting technology, fostering partnerships, and engaging communities, these organizations can build resilience and sustainability growth. The case studies demonstrated real-world success, inspiring continued innovation and collaboration for a stronger financial future. I want to thank you for joining our webinar on revolutionizing financial strategies for tribal and nonprofit organizations. We hope today's insights empower you to drive lasting change and financial resilience within your communities. Just a quick reminder, Audit Business Services Incorporated has a new website starting tomorrow. It's www.absinc.online. We welcome you to visit and see what new services we have to offer. And please, be sure to reach out for any additional questions and stay tuned for future sessions dedicated to supporting your mission and growth. Have a great day.